Welcome to this week's podcast. I'm Tim Weigel. I'm the statewide grape and hops IPM specialist with the New York State IPM program and the Lake Erie Regional Grape Program. And it's the middle of June, and so we're out in the vineyard and we're scouting for some early season pests, most notably grape rootworm. Grape rootworm was the primary insect pest of grapes years and years ago. With the advent of insecticides, we saw where it went away. It started to come back when we started cutting the number of insecticide applications and started using some of the more narrow spectrum insecticides for grape berry moth. So traditionally you'd go out 4th of July weekend, you'd look for the leaf feeding. So we're out here today and we're looking, and you can see here a chain-like feeding pattern of the adult. And the reason we're looking for adults and the feeding is because it's one of the only life cycles that are above ground. Grape rootworm spends most of its time, as the name suggests, underground with the larvae feeding on the grape roots. The problem with that is this leaf feeding really doesn't do too much damage to the vine, but if you have high populations of rootworm, they're down underground, they're feeding on the fine roots, and they're hurting the vine's ability to uptake water and nutrients. So you'll see a reduction in vine size. A reduction in vine size will then reduce the amount of crop that you can get in the vine. So if you're seeing areas of your vineyard that look like decrease in vine size, you just don't have the growth that you used to have, now would be a great time to go out and look to see if you have grape rootworm. As I mentioned, a good indication of adults is to go out and look for the leaf feeding. We have found, you have this chain-like feeding. They tend to take their mouth parts and just chew a little bit at a time. If you look really close, it almost looks like links of chain going through there. It can be mistaken with some of the other leaf feeding or leaf problems we have out there now. We saw one vineyard today when we were looking that had 8-spotted forester larvae. And that's a nice little moth that really is a secondary pest. It doesn't do anything to the grapes, but the larvae were out there, and instead of this nice chain-like feeding, they kind of will punch holes in the leaves in that, but it can be mistaken for it. Phomopsis, people have mistaken phomopsis for this. So one of the ways that we've gone about it to better tell if the adults are present in the vineyard is that we have 2x2 catching frames. We just made a wooden frame, covered it with white muslin cloth. We'll go through the vineyard every other post length. Where we think there's rootworm, we'll throw it down, we'll grab hold of the top wire, give it a nice shake, and then look at the catching frame. And the adults don't like vibration, they're easily disturbed. It's very difficult to walk through, unless you have huge populations, to walk through and see adult rootworm sitting in the canopy. But by doing that shake every other post length, they'll fall down. And it's kind of a plus minus. You're not looking at saying, oh, I have a really high population or a low population. Just a plus or minus if rootworm are there. And then once you see the rootworm, you know that it's time to go out and do something about it. We don't have an economic threshold for grape rootworm, but it is the type of thing that, because they directly feed on the roots and can reduce vine size so dramatically, that if any population of rootworms out there, we want to do something to take care of it. So we have a number of materials. Did some work with Greg English Loeb from Department of Entomology at Cornell. And we got some 2EEs. Carbaryl, or 7, is labeled for grape rootworm. And then we have another number of 2EE products, which you can find on our website, LERGP.com. You can find the 2EEs there. If you're going to use those materials, and those materials would be, and this is 2018, the materials are available. Danitol, Admire Pro, Leverage 360, and Sniper, which is a bifenthrin product. If you use any of those for grape rootworm, you'll need to have that 2EE in your possession. So now's the time. Get out into your vineyard, look around. Even if you don't find grape rootworm, it's amazing the stuff that you will find. We found tumid gall maker, today we found grape cane gallmaker, grape cane girdler, as I mentioned, the 8-spotted forester larva, and Kim Knappenberger even found a nice little wasp who was parasitizing or feeding on a larva of something. It flew away before we could identify it. So get out in the vineyard, take a look around. If you have any questions on grape rootworm, if you have any comments, if you would like to suggest a podcast for the future, please put it in the comment sections below.